Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our online class on the 1st of July 2023, which is Singapore Armed Forces Day, SAF. So last week, we stopped at this question about water pollution, if you can see. And today, we are continuing on question 8. Okay, question 8 shows this diagram, the increasing tolerance to pollutants. So the maximum tolerance is bloodworm. Okay, bloodworm are those like small little worms. Sometimes you can see in an aquarium, they feed it to fishes they sell. Very tiny, it's like hair-like thickness. Okay. And then the other side, decreasing tolerance. That's been stonefly nymph is very sensitive to pollutant. So in terms of pollutant, right, the first one that will die off is the stonefly nymph. That's been with minimum pollutant, it cannot survive. But for bloodworm, it can survive in very polluted water. So this is the diagram. You can see here. So there are 6 different types of organisms. Okay. So they are from 4 different streams. So now they ask you which stream is the most polluted. Okay. Which stream is the most polluted? So actually the answer is very obvious, right? Which stream is the most polluted is stream D. Why stream D? Because you see, as I told you, the stonefly nymph, it can't survive, 0. Then the bloodworm, it multiplied the most to 7. Okay, so in terms of the stream that can survive, that's most polluted is stream D. So this is how you present your answer, which I will type it over here. Okay, so you mentioned this way. Stream D is the most polluted. The freshwater crayfish and stonefly nymph, which have the lowest tolerance to pollutant, are found in other streams, but not in stream D. So in other words, you can see here, this part, they register 0. Okay. So they are least tolerant to pollutant. So they are not found here. So, okay, the words here, pollutant, okay, T-U-A-N-T, okay. Pollutant. So stream D is the most polluted. The freshwater crayfish and the stonefly nymph, which have the lowest tolerance to pollutants, are found in other streams, but not in stream D. Or you can mention that the bloodworm, which has the highest tolerance to pollution, has the most number in stream D. Okay, you also can mention that. Okay, so there's 2-mark question. So you can say, or you can say the bloodworm which has the highest tolerance to pollution or pollutants are found in highest number in stream D. Okay, so there are two reasons, because this is the 2 marks. Okay, next question. So I will screenshot this and I will send to you all shortly. Okay, if you have any questions, let me see on the chat there. Yeah, we didn't go through this because last week we stopped at the previous questions. Yeah, we didn't go through this. Yeah. So I've already answered you, Yasi. Okay, next. So this part I have talked about pollutant already. So now I will send the screenshot to everybody of the answer, and then I'll go to the next question. Okay, so you can download that. Okay, now I move on to this pollution and ozone depletion. Watch YouTube video on ozone. You try to view yourself, because due to my time constraint, I cannot show you the YouTube video here. Okay, so large amount of fertilizers from a farm flows into a nearby river at point G. So you must annotate this way. Higher land coming down, okay, because gravity pulls the water down. So you'll pass by a farm. Okay, notice the farm there because there's a slope there. So if the farmer have fertilizers, and after that there's heavy rain, the fertilizers will seep into the river. So you can annotate this way. So they say after some time, plants living deep in the river, underline this part. After point G died, explain. Okay. So remember, it's deep. It's not the floating plant. It's those fully submerged plant. So I already given you the hint because they are talked about. There's large amount of fertilizers from a farm flow into a nearby river. So this fertilizer actually has a lot of chemicals. They cause something to happen. Okay, so they say explain why. Okay, you know fertilizers actually aid the also increase the production of algae, right, or floating plants. So you can mention that the fertilizers cause the water plants, right, in the river after point G grow rapidly. And a large number of floating plants, right, after point G block the sunlight, preventing the submerged plant from carrying out photosynthesis. Okay, so the main crux of the answer should be this way, which I share to you here. I will increase the font size. Okay. So it mentioned here, the nutrients in the fertilizers, okay, the fertilizers on here, the nutrients from the fertilizer cause water plants in the river after point G to grow rapidly. The large number of floating plants after point G blocked sunlight and prevented the submerged plants after point G from carrying out photosynthesis. Being unable to make food, the submerged plant die after point G. Okay, so this is the answer for this section. I hope that you can understand. And I've just sent over the answer key for you to download. Okay, next, number 7. If you know how to do number 6, right? Number 7 should be quite easy. Also deal with fertilizers. So they say that a farm community made of fruits, vegetables, and butterflies. When the farmer saw caterpillar eating the vegetables, he sprayed the pesticide on the vegetable. So the pesticide will actually kill the caterpillar. So explain how the amount of vegetable harvested would change after spraying the fertilizers. Of course, you know that with lesser pests, right, will result in better harvest. Okay, so for this is quite straightforward. You say that the pesticides would reduce the number of caterpillars that eat the vegetables, resulting in an increase in the amount of vegetables harvested. Okay, because they ask you about how would you explain how the amount of vegetable harvested would change. So in your answer, you must show this word, the amount of vegetable harvested. So in this case, it will increase. Okay, clear this part. Okay, vegetable harvested result in an increase in the amount of vegetable harvested. So I will send this over for you to download. Okay, next. Okay, next part B. Suggest a reason why the number of fruits produced by the fruit decreased after spraying the pesticide. Okay, you remember this one is a bit tricky. So maybe you put here, this is a asterisk question. You need higher order thinking. Asterisk there. Okay, give you a hint if you have not done this question, because you know the caterpillar, right? Eventually they will develop into what? Butterfly, yes. And butterflies, they are pollinators. So if you have less butterfly, that means the chances of pollinating the fruits, right, of the flowers, right, which will result in the fruit, will be lesser. So you should mention, due to the pesticide, right, fewer caterpillars will develop into butterflies, which could serve as pollinators for fruit trees. So therefore, with fewer pollinators, there would be a lower chance of successful pollination. Hence, fewer fruits will form. Okay, because they ask you why the fruit, right? Okay, this fruit trees decrease after spraying the pesticide. So this is quite a tricky question. Okay, so you mentioned this way. Okay, due to the pesticide, fewer caterpillars will grow up. Fewer grow up to become butterflies, which could serve as pollinators for the fruit tree. With fewer pollinators, there will be a lower chance of successful pollination. Hence, fewer fruits will form. Okay. Hence, fewer fruits will form. So this is quite an interesting question that is actually affected by the pollination. Okay. So you take note of this. I will screenshot and send to you shortly. Okay, then shortly after this, I would give you the chance to ask questions. Okay, after question 8, right, I will pause for a short while for question and answer. Okay, this one is about these two moths. Okay, so they mentioned that in this question, there are two moths of the same species. That means they are like of the same species, living in the same area. They stay on light-colored barks of trees. So you highlight this part. Light-colored barks of trees. Birds prey on this moth, means they are eaten by birds. So we have a white moth and a black moth. Okay, they say that at first there were more white moths than black moths at first. So I put this inequality sign, more. Okay, there are more white moths than black moths. As birds feed on more black moths than white. They say more birds eat this one. Okay. Some factories are built nearby. These factories give out black smoke. Okay, black smoke. Okay, suggest why the number of white moth decrease. So you annotate decrease, while the number of black moths increase. Okay, so what do you think? The pollution, right? Air pollution caused the white moth to turn into darker color, right? So darker color, because if they land on the light-colored bark of trees, right, they'll be easily spotted by the birds. So more birds will feed on this. But why this one increase? Because what? Because now the bird can spot this, right? So they'll eat more of this and then eat less of that. Okay, because this one eventually, because it's black, right? Remember the smoke will also pollute the bark of the tree. Yeah. So maybe this camouflage better with the pollution. So there's one possible reason. So you mentioned that the black smoke darken the color of the bark. Okay, making the white moths is easier. You must use the word easier to be spotted by birds. And the black moth is harder because now the bark get polluted. So it's like the lighter one will be easier spotted. So hence more white moths are being eaten. So this question also quite tricky. Okay, so you mentioned this way. The black smoke darken the color of the bark, making the white moths easier, easier to be spotted by birds. And black moths harder to be spotted. Hence, more white moths are being eaten than black moths. Okay, earlier last week, I did talk about acid rain. I showed a short video by BBC, right, about how acid rain is formed. Okay, this smoke, they say, contains acidic gases. Explain how this will affect the trees. So it's something to do with acid rain. So those students who attended my lesson last week, right? Remember I talked about the acid rain. So when this acidic smoke get dissolved by rainwater, they will form acid rain, correct? Yeah. So if they form acid rain, the acid rain will harm the trees. Okay, I sent this. That's why I sent wrongly the question. So you should mention the acidic gases will dissolve the rainwater, and the acid rain will cause the tree to threaten the growth of the tree. Okay, so this is the answer for this part. Very simple. Just mention this part. Okay. The acidic gases will dissolve in rainwater as it rains. The acid rain, okay, you must use the word acid rain because it's a scientific term. Formed will cause the trees to grow unhealthily and may even die. So this is the consequences of air pollution that leads to formation of acid rain, which endanger the growth of trees. Okay, so I do a screenshot and then I send over to you the answer for this part on acid rain. Okay, so now I've covered, today I've covered these few questions from this part, yes. Okay, so I continue. Today is 1st July, SAF day. So we have done number 8. So student must be able to interpret the graphs because in PSLE science, right, there's one part is called interpretation of graphs or tables. So you must be able to interpret this graph, and then subsequently is this one, ozone. Okay. How pollution affect, and then the pesticide. Yeah. And increased pesticide will affect the life cycle of pollinators, as well as this one, the air pollution will affect the population of different organisms. And this. Okay, so I will pause this for some question time now.